So believe it or not, the Sennheiser Momentum 4 headphones are 3 years old now, but still, these are a good pair of headphones to consider because they sound really good. They don't sound as good as their predecessors, but they still sound very good. They block out a lot of noise, they have a lot of features, and they're constantly on sale now. So today we're going to see how the Sennheiser Momentum 4s compare to the brand new Sony WH-1000XM6s, and are they worth the premium and or are they worth the upgrade? Regarding pricing, the Sony WH-1000XM6s have a retail price of $450, which is up there, but I still feel that they're justifiable. Whereas the Sennheiser Momentum 4s have a retail price of $380, but they're constantly on sale for $300 or less. Nonetheless, if you want to pick either of these two headphones up, they'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button, and if you want to further support the channel, then you can always pick up some merch. Now first, let's talk about these included carrying cases. Now both of these headphones come included with hard shell cases, which is great because they're going to remain safe even if you stuff them into a crowned backpack. My main critique here is the case that comes with the Momentum 4s has a large footprint because these headphones have a lay flat design to them, and this case is also pretty thick. So I feel that traveling with the Momentum 4s isn't as convenient as with the Sony WH-1000XM6s because this case is much smaller and thinner again, and this case has a new magnetic latch which makes it super easy to get in and out. But with the cases out of the way, let's talk about the headphones themselves. Now first off, the Momentum 4s have a lay flat design to them, which is why these headphones have such a large case, whereas the WH-1000XM6s have a collapsible design to them again. Now both of these ear cups pivot and swivel a lot, which is great for comfort, and both of these headbands glide in and out. Well, personally, I prefer when my headbands click because it's easier to find your fit. But if we move up the headband, you'll see the padding, and I do wish that both of these headbands just had a little more padding to them to make them more comfortable. But when it comes to fit, these headphones fit very differently from one another. Now, when it comes to clamping force, both of these headphones are big head approved, and they both have a neutral amount of clamping force. So even if you like to wear hats, both of these will have you covered. But when it comes to weight, the Sony WH-1000XM6s weigh in at 254 grams, whereas the Sony Momentum 4s weigh in at 295 grams, which isn't awful. Like let's say the AirPod Max, which clock in at 384 grams. But with the Momentum 4s, these are a lot more noticeable while they're on your head than the Sony WH-1000XM6s, because 40 grams is a big deal. And then there are the ear cups on these headphones. Now both of these ear cups should be able to fit most average size ears just fine, but if you have larger ears or ears that stick out a lot, then you'll want to go with the Momentum 4s because these ear cups are more spacious. Now the WH-1000XM6s fit my average ears just fine, but I do prefer and appreciate the more spacious ear pads on the Momentum 4s. However, with the Momentum 4s, since these ear pads have so much padding on them coming in contact with your skin, and since this padding is so soft, these ear pads can heat up a little faster than the ear pads found on the Sony WH-1000XM6s. But now let's talk about tech specs. When it comes to battery life, the Momentum 4s dominate a lot of headphones out there. These have an advertised battery life of 60 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, which is super impressive. It's way above average, and I do feel that it does justify their rather hefty weight and rather bulky look. Whereas with the Sony WH-1000XM6s, these have an advertised battery life of 30 hours with their active noise cancellation turned on, and with their ANC turned off, they can go for as long as 40 hours. Now, the battery life on the Sony WH-1000XM6s is really good, and it is also a little above average, but it still doesn't compare to the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. And to charge these headphones, they both charge via a USB-C port, which is what we expect, but these USB-C ports are a little different. Now, with the Sonys, you can use these headphones while they're charging, which is actually good if you plan on using these headphones as a gaming headset. But with the Momentum 4s, you can also use this USB-C port as a wired connection. But nonetheless, both of these headphones have an audio jack, and they both come included with an audio cable, so you can use them with a wired connection that way, which I feel is more important, especially if you plan on flying with these headphones. And when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, both of these headphones can be connected to any two Bluetooth devices at the same time, regardless of ecosystem, which is good if you're a power user because you can easily hot swap from one device to another, and latency is not an issue for either of these headphones, so you can use them to watch videos with on your phone. And when it comes to audio codecs, both of these headphones have support for SBC and AAC and other higher quality audio codecs like aptX on the Momentum 4s and LDAC on the Sonys. However, if if you do want to use these higher quality audio codecs, you do have to be an Android user because iPhones top out at AAC, and with the Sonys at least, if you do decide to use LDAC on them, that is going to take its toll on the battery life because your battery life is going to go from 30 hours to 26 hours. But wait, if you want to further support the channel, then check out our affiliate partner, Manscaped. Manscaped has a trimmer for any of your grooming needs. First off, there's the Handyman, which is a compact face shaver. There's the upgraded Lawnmower 4.0 Pro, which charges via a USB-C port and it still has wireless charging, but more importantly, it has a new upgraded and stronger motor. There's also the Lawnmower 5.0, which also has the same great upgraded motor, plus it also comes included with a foil if you want to get a skin-tight shave. There's also the Dome Saver Pro, which has 5 double-track blade heads. It's easy to clean and it also charges via a USB-C port, or it also has wireless charging. And finally, there's the Chairman Pro, which is my personal favorite. It not only feels super premium, but it also has 2 interchangeable heads, so either you can get a skin-tight shave or you can leave the right amount of stubble. No matter your needs, Manscaped has a shaver for you, so check out Manscaped in the link down below. But now let's talk about sound. Now, the Sony WH-1000XM6s sound good. They have really good instrument separation, they sound very open, and vocals are very well defined on these headphones. However, these headphones aren't all that much fun to listen to because their bass doesn't have all that much kick or resonance to it. Now, you can adjust the EQ on these headphones, but I don't like to use a custom EQ on these headphones because I feel like they lose some of their instrument separation. But then there are the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. Now, I still feel that the Sennheiser Momentum 3 sound better than the Momentum 4s, but nonetheless, these still sound very good. Compared to the Sony WH-1000XM6s, the Momentum 4s actually manage to sound a little more open, and they don't put as much of an emphasis on people's voices, but more importantly, the bass on these headphones both resonates a lot more and it kicks a lot more. So plainly said, yes, the Momentum 4s sound more open and a little more balanced than the Sony, and they sound more fun because they have more dynamic bass. Now, when it comes to the media controls on these headphones, both of these headphones are using touchpads, but personally, I do prefer Sony's touchpads here over the Momentum 4s because I found that Sony's touchpads do a much better job of rejecting accidental inputs. Whereas with the Momentum 4s, I feel that these touchpads are just a little too sensitive for my taste. And both of these headphones have built-in wear sensors, so they're both going to automatically play and pause your music when you put them on and when you take them off. But personally, I don't really care for wear sensors, so I just turn them off, but they're there if you want them. But now let's talk about the active noise cancellation on these headphones. Now, for the last few years, the Sony WH-1000XM5s have been the best headphones to travel with because they blocked out the most amount of noise, and thanks to their built-in atmospheric pressure sensors, both the Sony WH-1000XM5s and Sony WH-1000XM4s blocked out the most amount of noise while at cruising altitude. At cruising altitude, even the Sony WH-1000XM4s are able to block out noticeably more noise than both the Bose QC Ultra and Bose QC headphones. But now we have the Sony WH-1000XM6s, and these continue to block out a ton of noise, and these block out noticeably more noise than the Sony WH-1000XM5s as well. But more importantly, the Sony WH-1000XM6s are able to block out more noise than the Sennheiser Momentum 4s, but so that you can see for yourself, we're going to go ahead and jump into an ANC test. So first off, the ANC on the Sennheiser Momentum 4s performs very well and is able to keep up with both the Bose QC Ultra and the Sony WH-1000XM6s. However, the Sonys are just able to block out more noise. Specifically with the Sony WH-1000XM6s, there's much less of a high-pitched hum to them when they're blocking out lower frequency sounds like, let's say, a road noise or a jet engine, and people's voices are much better blocked out as well. Simply put, yes, the Sony WH-1000XM6s block out significantly more noise than the Sennheiser Momentum 4s. But what really makes the 1000XM6s special is that just like the XM5s and the XM4s, they have built-in atmospheric pressure sensors and they are constantly calibrating themselves. And while at cruising altitude, both the XM5s and the XM4s are able to block out way more noise than, let's say, the Bose QC Ultra, Bose QC headphones, AirPod Max, or Sennheiser Momentum 4s. So it's safe to assume that the XM6s are also going to block out a ton of noise while at cruising altitude thanks to those atmospheric pressure sensors. And rest assured that we will be putting out a separate video on that in the future. But overall, yes, the Sony 1000XM6s block out noticeably more noise than both the Bose QC Ultra and Sennheiser Momentum 4s while at ground level, and these are poised to be the best ANC headphones to fly with because they're going to block out more noise while at cruising altitude thanks to their atmospheric pressure sensors. But then there's the ambient mode on these headphones. Overall, I feel that the Sony 1000XM6s have a better sounding ambient mode because it sounds more natural and their microphone array does a much better job of blocking out wind noise when walking outdoors. Whereas with the Momentum 4s, for some reason, they prioritize noise pollution over people's voices. But also, both of these headphones have extra features in their ambient modes. First off, there's the 1000XM6s, which have speak to chat, which works like this. Hello there. So this is speak to chat. Basically, when you start talking, these headphones will automatically lower the volume of your music and they'll automatically pump in all of the ambient sound around you so that you can quickly talk to someone without even to have to touch these headphones themselves. Now, these headphones will stay in this state for a preset determined amount of time, or you can always adjust that through their app, or you can always manually cancel speak to chat by double tapping on the touchpad like this. But personally, I'm not a really big fan of speak to chat because it's very easy to accidentally activate it. If you start talking to yourself very quietly, that can activate it. If you start singing along to your music, that can activate it. Or if you start laughing, that can activate it. And on rare occasions, loud enough outside sounds can activate it as well. So that's why I don't use it. Personally, I still prefer to use quick attention on these headphones because it's a lot more intentional. So when you fully cover the touchpad on these headphones, they're going to lower the volume of your music and pump in all of the ambient sound around you like this. And then when you let go, the headphones will go back to normal again. Now, like I said, I prefer quick attention because it's a lot more intentional, and this feature is extremely useful, especially when you're flying with these headphones. But I still feel that Sony should change it so that when you have this touchpad covered for over 5 seconds or more, they should lock themselves in this state so that you can just let go and then just keep talking to someone, because this does get a little awkward after a while and it does get a little uncomfortable. And I've been asking Sony to fix this for a while because the Momentum 4s get this right, because with them you just double tap on the touchpad like this. And when you double tap, the headphones will go back to normal again. And more importantly, when you activate this feature, both of your hands are going to be free. And like I've said, I like when headphones have this feature, especially because it's super useful if you plan on flying a lot with your headphones. But finally, here's the microphone test, and both of these microphones perform rather similarly to one another. Now, while in a quiet room, both of these microphones are decent enough to take phone calls with. But when it comes to noise pollution, both of these headphones do struggle quite a bit. Now, when it comes to blocking out road noise, I feel that the Sennheiser Momentum 4s do a slightly better job because it is easier to understand me. Whereas with the Sony 1000XM6s, these are struggling a lot more to block out this road noise, and there's a lot more interference going on with my voice. Because with the Sony 1000XM5s, these are doing a much better job of dealing with this road noise. Because for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this road noise. But if we were to switch back over to the Sony 1000XM5s, it is severely reduced. And the Sony 1000XM5s also do a decent job of blocking out this chatter. Because again, for comparison's sake, if we were to switch over to my lapel microphone, you're going to clearly hear all of this chatter. But if we were to switch back over to the Sony 1000XM5s, it is reduced. Whereas with the Sony 1000XM6s, these do have more interference going on with my voice. And the Sennheiser Momentum 4s are really pushing down on my voice. So with both of these headphones, I would only take phone calls with them while in a quiet room. But with all that being said, the Sennheiser Momentum 4s are pretty old, but they're still pretty good because they sound really good. They block out a lot of noise and they have a ton of battery life. But they do have their drawbacks, like a huge carrying case, and they might not be as comfortable as some other headphones out there. But if you find the Sennheiser Momentum 4s at a stupid price, they're still a great pickup even in 2025. But with the Sony 1000XM6s, these are hands down the best headphones to fly and travel with because they block out a lot of noise, and thanks to their atmospheric pressure sensors, they should be able to block out a ton of noise while at cruising altitude. They're also significantly lighter than the Momentum 4s, and they have a much smaller case as well, making them much more comfortable as well to travel with. I just really hope that Sony fixes the mic on these headphones. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.